How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to an artifact tier list for fighters in Watcher of Realms. This video in itself is going to be a really great video, but this video also marks the start of a series that is going to be building up to a really tremendous video, my official artifact tier list, that will come out in about exactly a week's time, about 6 or 7 days from now. However, me being me, I like to get into the nitty-gritty. I really like to unpack things. I like to do my due diligence. So leading up to my official artifact tier list that will come out as a video on my channel, but also on my website permanently there. My website debuts in just under 2 weeks, so look forward to that. Exciting time for me and my channel and the community. Leading up to that, we are going to go class by class and do artifact tier lists. These videos, like the one you're watching right now, will allow me to dive a little deeper into the nitty-gritty and actually teach people what every artifact does, because I think there's really two reasons people have been asking me, and people have been asking me for as long as I've been making content for an artifact tier list. I think the reason people want it is, quite frankly, they want an easy cheat sheet where they say, oh, that's S+, oh, that's B, that's good, that's bad. But also I think people want to learn about the artifacts. I don't know about in this in-depth a way as I'm about to present it now, but I do think it's nice to dive a little deeper and people can learn about artifacts that they may have overlooked. So without further ado, let me just say, this thing I've already been working on for 3.5 hours today just to get all the visuals together. So if you appreciate this stuff, let me know in the comments. Give it a thumbs up. If there's anything I can improve upon, be sure to let me know, because I have 4 more class by class artifact tier lists coming in the next 4 days, as well as a mini little tier list just for the 5 epic artifacts that we have in the game. So be sure to give me your feedback. Without further ado, it's fighter time. Let's get into our tier list.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, friends, so as you can see, we have got every single class exclusive artifact to the fighters on your screen, all the legendaries, and of course the mythics. I'm just going to go alphabetically and go down the list. I'm going to go a little quickly, or at least I'm going to try, because there's a lot to get through here. Without further ado, let's start off with Amulet of Arteries. If you see me looking over there, that's the screen that has the stuff appearing on your screen right now with the skill descriptions. You can see I did it at level 1, so that is at 0 promotion, and at level 6, that is at 5 max promotion, because I know people ask for that a lot. And then when I'm looking here or looking at the camera, that's because I'm actually dealing with the list. So let's start off by reading it. So at base level, for every 10 instances of magic attack inflicted, Selene's Shadow Strike is summoned upon 3 enemies, dealing 80% damage. The effect can be triggered as often as 1 time every 8 seconds. Then that's at the base promotion, 0 levels of promotion, that's level 1. At level 6, at max promotion, everything's the same, except instead of 80% damage, it's 130% damage. This artifact is kind of a fart. Let's get right into it. Let's not dance around it. I'm going to throw that in C. It's going to be by far my lowest ranked mythic artifact. So why is that? Well, there's always like kind of an opportunity cost. There's always a trade-off when you choose one artifact over another. And the fact that this thing can only occur at best once every 8 seconds, it's just not cutting it for me. The amount of damage is, it's not crazy, but it's okay. It's kind of a little burst. It's multi-target. It can hit 3 enemies. It's not D tier. It's not useless, but I would be shocked. I could do some direct testing, but I'd be shocked if a maxed out Keen Wisdom, formerly known as Ancestral Teachings, just plus 16% attack permanently post-deployment would not be stronger. I really think it's not such an exciting artifact. It's pretty niche. It's kind of just for magic damage dealing fighters. We do have some, you know, we have Sela 2, Helga is coming, Falcia has some hybrid damage, Valkyra, there are uses, but it's just not very strong, not at all. Also, if you're like, what the heck is Amulet of Arteries? I'm going alphabetically, so that's what we had to start with. It's a weird one to start with, like, don't get it twisted. It used to be called Selene's something, and they of course renamed it the way they frickin' renamed everything. And even though it's not exclusive to Selene or anyone, it actually is only available from the exclusive forge. Same way that some other ones like Flux Pendant, this is only available in the guild shop and the exclusive forge. So they probably think it's good, but I don't. It's a C. On to the next one, we've got Crest of Thunder. Here is one I really don't like. So the Crest of Thunder increases AoE damage by 10%. That's at base promotion. And then if you get to level 6 at max promotion, increases AoE damage by 20%. You might be thinking, 10% AoE damage, that's not bad. 20% at max, that's not bad. Well, the Crest of Thunder, it was added, I think, 2 or 3 patches ago, along with some other ones that basically are what I'm going to call, and you'll see this over this video because there's one more example, but also in the healer video, they added these artifacts that are like baby versions. They're legendary baby versions of mythic artifacts, and they're just straight up worse. When it comes to the Crest of Thunder, like, it's just not great at all. So it's the baby version of Eye of Sin, which we have got over here. That's also an artifact I'm not crazy about, but Eye of Sin has the exact same effect you'll see in a second. It's 10% AoE damage and then 20% at max, but also you get a bonus 10% when you kill an enemy. If you're doing AoE damage and the content you're going to bring guys in, you always basically will get that 10% when you need it. It's already not that good. I don't love Eye of Sin, but I especially do not like this one. So I do think I'm going to keep it. I can't decide if I want to put it at the back end of C or the bottom of D. I think, again, an opportunity cost thing, I can tell you definitively there's no way that like a maxed out Keen Wisdom, we might hear me say that a few times, wouldn't be better than that. If you don't know a maxed out Keen Wisdom, or even at plus 19, it will give you 16% increased attack post-deployment. It's the Mob Bucket artifact, as I like to call it. I think he popularized it, at least made it mainstream. I just don't love it. I think we're going to keep it in D. It'd probably be on the higher end of D, but there's just so many better options, and I just don't see how this is going to be something you actively use. I really don't. I guess if you'd only built up a few Keen Wisdoms, you know what, we'll put it at the back end of C as we start building this out. So not a great start. Let's go on to the next one. Speak of the Devil, the Eye of Sin. Now you can see what that difference is. Increases AoE damage by 10%. Killing an enemy grants an extra 5% AoE damage bonus that lasts for 3 seconds. That's at base promo. It goes all the way up to 20%, so exactly the same as Crest of Thunder at max promo, but also the extra bonus goes from 5% to 10%. It's annoying that it only lasts 3 seconds. I really don't love that. However, you do, in a lot of circumstances where you might use it, you end up with a 30% boost. I mean, that's pretty darn solid. I will say, though, it is significantly outclassed by some other options. At best, you're getting a 30% boost. That's when everything's lining up. It's only on AoE damage, but you could put it on someone like an Abomination or Valkyria that is doing AoE damage, at least Abomination later on in battles once he's permanently set up his ult. I mean, it's not that special. It's not bad at all, but it's certainly not special. It's going to be somewhere between B or A. I kind of have to think it through. For now, let's put it at the top of B, and I'll reassess at the end. We'll see. Maybe we'll make it to the back end of A. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is just outclassed left and right by a lot of other options, especially for a mythic artifact. So on to the next one. We have got Flux Pendant. Increases critical damage by 12%. When HP drops below 50%, the increase is doubled. Now at max, it increases critical damage by 30%. That is a lot more, right? It's going up 3% each promotion level. That's pretty darn significant. And then again, it will be doubled if you're under 50%. So if you're under 50% and it's maxed out, I mean, 60% critical damage is super, super strong. 24%, not as thrilling. This obviously is a lot better than the ones we've talked about so far. It is, again, kind of a borderline for me as to where I will rank it, but to me it is decidedly A. So just to take a step back, what it's going to take to be S, I think it needs to be a no-brainer, excellent, excellent artifact that also can be best in slot for heroes in certain content. To be S+, it needs to be a truly game-breaking, game-changing artifact. We've got one on this list, you guys could probably guess it, that can like reform a character and reimagine the damage they are capable of. That's what an S+ is going to take. But S is still the cream of the crop. I think Flux Pendant, you might be thinking, all right, HP under 50%, that could be really great for like Chaos teams. No question about it. However, a lot of the best Chaos fighters in the game will probably still benefit more from some of this other stuff. But if you do have one maxed out, and I am working on maxing one out, I do think towards the very end game, it could be kind of a superstar artifact, because crit damage only becomes more and more important as you just naturally have better gear and you're building, you're crit capping everything, no brainer, but also you're just building attack in a much easier way. You know, maybe your Dolores, your Constance, all your inspo heroes are getting better and better. All in all, I think it's a good artifact. It's not going to make S, but it'll be somewhere in the middle of A, I think. We're going to have to see how this whole thing shakes out. On to the next one, we've got Frigid Flame. Here's one that might surprise you. So, at base promo, level 1, increases damage by 6% every 4 seconds when no damage is taken, stacks up to 3 times. Taking damage each time removes 1 stack. So basically, you want to put it on a hero in a nice situation where they're just not going to take damage. And at base promo, you know, after 12 seconds and you've gotten 3 stacks, as long as you haven't taken damage, you got an 18% damage boost. So you can see why I'm not crazy about some of these other ones, because that's already at base promo, an 18% boost. But you might be thinking, all right, I know other ones that have like a 20% boost at base promo. Sure. But this one scales really well because it starts at 6%. It just climbs up by 1% every promotion, all the way up to 11% at max promo at level 6. So if you're not taking damage for 12 seconds, Everything else remains the same. You know, you don't remove any stacks. You got 3 stacks for 33% damage. And I do believe that is the most possible damage in a multiplier from an artifact you can get on a fighter in this game, at least in a normal conventional way. For that reason, and one other main reason, I am going to make it an S. So it's fulfilling the thing I talked about earlier, where it can be a best-in-slot artifact in an important piece of content. So I'm thinking Conqueror, right? When you put your heroes behind the wall, they won't take damage until the very last moments of the battle when it's already over. You put this on your Valkyra, it's going to be more powerful than a lot of other things like a Realm Tear, you know, or some other cool things you could use. It really is that strong. It's not, I think it's kind of a slept-on artifact because it is niche, but we do have things where, you know, you can hide your guys behind a tank. There's moments like that. You know, maybe you've got Cyrus, you're hiding your Valkyra behind him and 3 little minions he's summoned. It doesn't have to just be Valkyra. I do think it does shine the most on someone with at least 2 tiles of range. So, you know, your Zeala 2 types, even your Scorches if you're earlier on in the game using him, but like Valkyra, Ardia, Arrogance, heroes like this. But for Conqueror, it is such an amazing artifact. For heroes you might shove behind the wall that it will be their best in slot. I think it has to be S. On to the next one now. We have got Lucky Legacy. I believe this one used to be called Lucky Coin. I can also try to tell you when I remember. I don't remember all the names anymore, but certainly Frigid Flame used to be called Flawless Blade. If I think of more as I go, we can talk about it. But Lucky Legacy, I think formerly Lucky Coin. This is just for your cost generators, so your Narvi, Selene, and Dallin. At base promo, for each time the cost is restored, there's a 5% chance to double the amount. So whatever costs you get, that you're restoring to your team, it will be doubled. It's not likely, 1 in 20, a 5% chance. However, you can get this up to 3 in 20, right? You can get it to a 15% chance at max promo to double that amount. It's very niche. It's supremely niche. However, if you are getting sweaty, as I like to do, and you just want to push your roster's potential, you know, and push your account's content to its absolute max potential, and you just want to balls it to the walls it, right? You might be doing a Gear Aid 3 run or a Gear Aid 2 run where it's hard to make the costs work, and you might run it, you know, 20 times to get the perfect thing. Or if you have it at 15%, you're going to run it, 12 times, and you're going to do it over and over and over 12, 13 times, and it might actually be the difference. It has done that for me when I've done takeovers for people. So it is niche, but I do think because it can make that big difference, I'm going to put it at B. I'll put it below Eye of Sin. But it can shine. And I will also say, on your Dallin, on your Narvi, on your Cyrene, obviously they have slight other uses here and there, or maybe they need survivability or something else. Really, it would be survivability. But you probably don't really need to put any artifact on them, so you probably just are going to put Lucky Legacy on them, just so you can put something there, and hey, when it happens, you go, ooh, look, I got the coin, right? So for that reason, the fact that it's just going to be what you put on 3 key heroes in general, and if you're getting sweaty with it, it could be a game changer. I am going to give it a B. Might seem high to people, but I do think it's one of the best legendary artifacts in the game. On to the next. Let's see what we got on our list. It's going to be the Lunacy Visor. No brainer here, guys. Lunacy Visor is an S. So at base promo, it increases the block of the wearer by 1. Additionally, the wearer restores HP equal to 0.7% of max HP each time they deal damage to 1 target, stacking up to 3 targets. So it can be 0.7% with a max of 3 targets, so it'd be 2.1%, right? That's at base promo. At max promo, we're talking same increased block by 1. However, the restore is a lot juicier. It's 1.2. So if you're hitting those 3 targets, that's the maximum you can do. That's 3.6% every time you're getting a hit. Works really, really nicely on someone with fairly high attack speed. You're probably going to build most of your fighters with fairly high attack speed. It's just really, really good. It is game-changing if you put it on like a Cerberus, on any content you want him to survive. So things as simple as like Gold Raid, XP Raid. My Cerberus is always wearing one. If you ever wanted him to slay alive for a minute, if you brought him into like Void Rift or something. But the no-brainer, again, that might come to people's minds is Cerberus can be the best damage dealer in the game when he's wearing this in Conqueror. It does have extra uses, though, so it's not just that. You know, if you have a tanky fighter like Abomination or a Wrath, you know, somebody you don't want to die, it's excellent, right? Especially someone with a big HP pool. It's not based on the amount of damage dealt, right? It's when damage is dealt, you get this heal. So put it on your Gluttony. As long as he has any form of attack speed, the guy's going to be really, really hard to kill. So this is definitely the best artifact we've described so far. It's really, really cool. I believe it used to be called Soul Drinker or Soul Eater. Maybe it was Soul Eater. It's crazy. I'm forgetting the old names. I hated when they changed the names, but slowly I'm learning the new ones. Very, very, very strong artifact. And the extra block, that cannot be slept on, right? So if you are going to use a fighter to have some tanky ability, most fighters only block 2, right? You throw this on, now you're blocking 3. Or if you got a really tanky fighter like Yankar or something who has a base block of 3, now he's blocking 4. That's juiced up. He's like a proper tank. I love it. He's an actual, basically a defender. Onward, let's talk about Nightmare Shadow. So increases crit rate by 5% for every 5 attacks, can stack up to 3, and then at max promo, level 6, increases crit rate by 10% for every 5 attacks, can stack up to 3. These are permanent stacks. It does make this kind of a cool legendary artifact. Where is it? We've got it right over here. I kind of like this one. It's super early mid-game. I mean, for the point where you're really worrying about crit. I do kind of hate the idea of losing. It's like an opportunity cost thing. The trade-off of you're sacrificing some other artifact with a cool benefit to do this to get crit, but it can help people, right? And if you do decide to promote it up, I mean, 30% permanently after only 15 attacks is pretty sweet. I don't love it. Don't get it twisted, but I don't hate it either. I think I'm going to put it at the upper end of C, like above the Selene one over here, and certainly this is probably going to make its way to D. I don't like the Crests of Thunder one bit. It's a cool thing, though, but I mean, crit rate, you're going to get it yourself. And even early game, if you were that desperate, I would suggest you bring Autumn. And she'll give 30% at max skill, which you'll definitely have her at. And she'll give 60% crit damage. You know, it's a little less plug and play to use, but this feels like a waste of a slot. So there's no way I would put it higher than C. It might even get a little further down in C. I don't think it will make D, though. Let's continue now. We've got Prey, Slayer, and now we're on to our second and the only other one from the fighters, Baby Artifact. So it's a legendary artifact that is literally just a straight-up worse version of a legendary one. So this is just the baby version of Scarlet Hunt, which we'll discuss pretty darn soon. I think it's coming up on our list. Essentially at base promo, deals 10% extra damage to targets inflicted with bleed, and then at max promo, level 6, deals 20% extra damages to target inflicted with bleed. It's fine. I mean, it could maybe be kind of good. I mean, that's not such a huge damage boon if Scarlet Hunt didn't exist, but Scarlet Hunt does exist. It is scripted in the game to be your first pulled artifact, or your first pulled mythic artifact when you finally unlock that mythic forge. I don't know if it's on pull 10 or 20, or it's one of your first 10 pulls. You are guaranteed to get Scarlet Hunt. That is scripted in the game. That makes this terrible, because even Scarlet Hunt at base promo is going to be way better. It's got the higher base stats that needs to be discussed, right? Mythic artifacts have higher base stats than legendary artifacts, the same way legendary artifacts have higher base stats that they contribute to your heroes than epics. And this one, even maxed out, is going to be worse than if you just make it like plus 10, it will be worse than the Scarlet Hunt when you get it pretty darn early on. This one is shockingly niche. It would be on your account for like 1 minute until you finally get your Scarlet Hunt. It only really goes on a bleed hero, or if you happen to be running a bleed team, which already is kind of niche. I mean, we have a few more bleed heroes now, but yeah, you could put on a fighter like if you had Zealatu and you were running another hero with bleed. All in all, I think it's just straight up terrible. I really do. I think it's the baby version of something that outclasses it in every way, and that is free, because you will get it. So this is going to go all the way to the back of D for now. Let us continue. We've got Rage Chain. You know what? Let me just go to Scarlet Hunt really quickly, just so we can discuss it. So Scarlet Hunt, higher base stats. It's mythic. We can read it here. At base promo, it's 20% extra damage to targets inflicted with bleed. So that is the max version of the baby one. So just without using any mythical or anything, and no promotions, nothing, it's already better. And then it's all the way up to 30. So Scarlet Hunt, that's way better. That's just way better. I'm going to put Scarlet Hunt up here in S. I'll put it above Frigid Flame, but below Lunacy Visor. I think Scarlet Hunt for a lot of stuff can be outclassed, but if you've got a bleed hero, it's as simple as that. Scarlet Hunt seems to drop a lot. At least it used to be a very high drop thing. Now it seems like they've kind of equalized the drop rates, made it a bit more even. But you're definitely going to get one for free at the beginning. You'll get plenty. You might not have a bleed hero. I didn't have a bleed hero for the longest time, but like now I've got Ardia, and she wears a maxed out Scarlet Hunt. For a couple things, there's better artifacts for her still, but for a lot of guys, it's just a simple artifact. You throw it on, and it does have some flexibility, because let's say you could put it on your Zealatu. She doesn't have bleed, but if you're bringing a Vladov, or you're bringing a Lugaru, or you're bringing a Salazar, it could totally work. And it's a nice way just to get a nice huge boost of damage early on. It's really good. It's very simple, and it's very good. And it's just so much better than this. This thing just, honestly, it just sucks. I don't know why they felt like they had to add that stuff. On to the next. So Rage Chain at base promo level 1 increases crit damage by 0.3% for every 1% reduction in HP, and then at max promo increases crit damage by 0.6% for every 1% reduction in HP. This one's like fine. I mean, it's in almost every way gonna be outclassed by Flux Pendant, which is free. I should have said that before. Flux Pendant you do get as part of the Volca missions. You can also buy it whenever you want if you save up your guild coins. It's in the guild shop every week. That's how I get my copies. There are situations, right, where it could be like more powerful if you did have it max level. So let's say you have it max level, which in itself is a huge investment. It'd be 0.6%. So let's just say you have lost 90% of your health. Then it would be at 54%, right? 54% extra crit damage. I mean, that really is something, but that's a very specific circumstance that you're alive, but you have 10%. A lot of the things, if you're running like a chaos team, you'll get back up towards 30. So you're having a loss there. You had to have it max promo. A lot simpler, I think. You run the Flux Pendant, you have more base stats. Even at base promo, you're talking 12%, and then when less than 50%, you're talking 24%. I just think it's certainly stronger in nearly every way. I mean, this is going to be a better artifact, certainly, than, let's say this Prey one, the Prey Slayer, or whatever. I think that's what it was called, but it's not so much better. I do not like it too much at all. This is going to be the Rage Chain. I'm thinking it's the very low end of C or very high end of D. I think it's a D. So we'll leave it actually right about here. It can stay put. Alrighty, now we got Realm Tear, a super S tier artifact. I mean, for any ranged fighter, it's going to be one of the absolute best, if not the best artifact for them in different pieces of content. It's supremely strong. We can put it now as the start of S. It's just a fantastic one. Let me read it to you. So at base promo, deals increased damage to enemies beyond one tile from the hero. For every tile beyond the first, damage is increased by 3%. Now at max promo, that was base promo, it's going to go all the way up to 8%. So with some of the larger ranged fighters, you can have 4 tiles away. So that's 32% when you've got it max promo. It's really, really strong, right? That would put it as the second most potent in terms of damage increase given the right circumstance in the game after Frigid Flame, which can have 33%. All in all, I think it's supremely strong. My arrogance has worn it for months and months and months. I move it around a decent bit. You do have to account for where the content's going to be, that the heroes don't get too close, because if they're just one tile away and it's 3% at base or 8% at max promo, but just one tile away, that's kind of a bummer. But for a lot of content, it's pretty easy. Not every hero can have something 4 tiles away, the way like Valkyra during her ult could, or at A1 could, or like Ardia, those come to mind, Cyrus. But a lot of heroes, the ranged fighters with that Arrogance, Sela 2, Aracha, Apsin range, Admiral Claw, all those guys can have 3 tiles. So that's just pretty easy to manage. You don't need so many other conditions. These guys are going to be 1 or 2 tiles behind your front line or your tanks or whatever you got going. It's just really, really strong. And it's a top choice. It's a really, really good artifact. So on to the next one. We got Slayer's Malice. Here is a pretty good legendary artifact. So when HP is above 80%, increases damage by 10%. When HP is above 80% at max promo now, increases damage by 20%. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, you didn't like Crest of Thunder. You like this one. What's the difference? Well, Crest of Thunder is only AoE damage, and these legendary ones, you're probably going to want some flexibility with this. This one is not, so that gives it a big plus in my book. Also, over 80% is pretty easy to control. As long as you don't have your fighter tanking or you have like really bad healing, you're probably going to be over 80% a lot. So that 10% or 20%, it's pretty darn solid. Don't get it twisted and think like, I love this artifact. I don't, but it is a lot better than something like a Crest of Thunder or some other stuff. Actually, I should, is it better than Rage Chain Crest of Thunder? I think it probably is not. I think it's going to go here. In part, also keep in mind, Crest of Thunder is just straight up outclassed by something else that exists in the game, and you will all get eventually. So I think when it comes to Slayer's Malice, it's really hard. Do I put it at the very end of B, or I put it at the beginning of C? I think a lot of people early game will use it, and I do think it is really easy to use. So just for ease of use, because for a lot of content, you will just, have over 80% health on your fighters most of the time. I think it's going to be at the very end of B, so we'll see how the rest shakes out, but I think it will just hang out there at the very end of B. So moving right along, we have got the North's Horn. This is not a great artifact. When shielded, increases crit rate by 10%. Ooh la la. When shield disappears, you're going to get to continue with that 10% crit rate bonus for 6 more seconds. Lucky you. When you get it to max level at max promo 5, level 6, you know, it's a staggering 15% that's going to last 6 more seconds after the shield pops. Really not good. You can see it's decidedly worse than like Rage Chain, which I already didn't like. I think this is a pretty strong contender for the single worst fighter artifact in the game. I just think, who are we kidding? I mean, at least with Prey Slayer, you know, you could find use for that before you get your Starlet Hunt. So if you pulled it very, very early on and you happen to have a Vladov or a Salazar or something like that, right? This one stinks. Or even if you're using Komodo, right? He's a free fusible hero. This one's just straight up terrible. I think it probably is the worst that we have got. Moving right along, we've got Voroth's Wrath. Looks kind of similar, same color scheme, another Northerner hero-themed one to a Northerner faction-themed one. In this one, increases crit rate by 0.3% for every 1% reduction in HP. That's at base promo. At max promo, it increases crit rate by 0.8% for every 1% reduction in HP. So you might be thinking, I've been giving pretty bad grades to these crit rate ones. I'm probably going to do the same thing now. Actually, I don't think so. It has a niche use that I see. Niche, but a use, right? So if you had chaotic units, or you know, you're almost always going to have them at 30% health or less. So let's just assume 30% health. That means they have lost. Their HP has been reduced by 70%. If you had it maxed out, you're talking about 56% crit rate. I mean, that really is something. I just think any artifact in general that gives crit rate is kind of trash, but that's the juiciest realistic amount I could see you gaining. And then you're building your hero with 44% crit rate. You kind of have something here. It's not good, but you have something. So it's certainly not a D. We'll put it towards the back of C. You can see I like the mythic artifacts a lot better than the legendary ones, but I'm trying to give a nice, honest look at them. So on to the next one. We've got Wailing Skull, and this one's just going to stay right in D. No, I'm kidding. We got our S+. I think almost all of you that are familiar with the artifacts with fighters would have guessed this. Wailing Skull is just cracked out, and it has a legitimately bugged, broken interaction with Zeala 2 that just takes it from being probably the best fighter artifact, because it does work on other heroes, a supremely strong fighter artifact, but then you put it on Zeala 2 in the guild boss, and I mean, it is just, it's wacky tobacco. I mean, what do you want me to say? Let me read it to you. So at base promo, it's already good at base promo. Dealing damage is a 40% chance of summoning one Shadow Guard. So it's that he kind of looks like Komodo. He's a little Shadow Spirit with 80% of the hero's attributes to attack enemies for 10 seconds. The effect can be triggered as often as one time every 20 seconds. So the way this actually works is every 20 seconds it can be triggered. Then it is triggered. It lasts 10 seconds. Then once those 10 seconds are up, you have to wait another 20 seconds. So every 30 seconds, it's up for 10 seconds. So it has like a 1/3 of total time uptime is kind of how it shakes out. But you can just see 80% of the hero's attributes, and it takes all of them. I mean, that is really strong. So you're getting like 0.8 Zeala 2 for those 10 seconds, or whomever you've put it on, right? However, at max promo, it gets crazy, because this thing just climbs up in an insane way. So dealing damage is a 40% chance. The same thing continues of summoning one Shadow Guard, but 150% of the hero's attributes attacks enemies for 10 seconds, triggered every 20 seconds. That part remains the same. But we go from 80%, which is already good, like it's good at base promo, to 150% of all the attributes, right? So if you built your Zeala 2, I'm just going to keep using her because let's be honest, that's her best artifact ever, right? So if you built her with 15k attack, your little Shadow Guard for those 10 seconds he shows up every 30 seconds has 22,500 attack. It's wild. And also all the other attributes you built on her, right? So I will say, if you've ever gotten a Wailing Skull, formerly known as Crystal Skull, I believe, right? Or Crystal of Violence, excuse me. God, Crystal Skull's an Indiana Jones movie. Crystal of Violence. We called it the Cov, C-O-V, Cov. But now the Wailing Skull, it is known as. It is just crazy. One thing, if you ever get your hands on one and you're like, it's not performing the way I thought it would, it does get the attributes from the hero it is on. So you want that hero to have pretty good attributes. So if you're putting on a fighter that's got, I don't know, let's say if it's 9k attack or something, or 10k attack, it might be kind of underwhelming. But if you put it on something totally sauce up, let's say you have Salazar or something, right? Well, I guess Salazar's a bad example because you'll probably put him in Scarlet Hunt. But even still, you could try it out. But someone with super high base attack, put it on an Ardia if you didn't have a range thing. If you want to use Ardia in Guild Boss, or of course on Zeala 2, right? Anyone with some nice stats. Valeria, there's a great normal example. Put it on a Valeria where you've got like 6,200 base attack. You get a nice little build going. You just have decent gear or up to amazing gear, right? the damage is outrageous. The boost it makes is outrageous. For that alone, it's S+. But we have content showing up in the game now where you need to get extra hits out. I'm thinking the Styx boss. We just had that Praetus boss, the Valentine's Day boss. For that, we needed number of hits on a shield. You know, it's a nice way to get extra quantity of hits on a shield. Every 30 seconds, every half a minute, summoning some shadow guy who shows up for 10 seconds and puts out extra hits. It's getting another guy on the field. It's just really good. It's the best fighter artifact. It really, really is. It is worth the hype. I hope you all get many, many copies. Let's continue now. We've got Watchguard's Ambition, and let me tell you guys, it might surprise you, but the Watchguard's Ambition is going to be my highest ranked legendary artifact, and I'm very comfortable doing that. It is slightly niche, but it does do something that is very unique and can be very powerful on the right heroes. So what's going on with the Watchguard's Ambition? Well, each basic attack launched has a 10% chance of triggering another basic attack. So if you're coming from like Raid Shadow Legends and you're thinking of, oh my god, I'm not going to remember the name of the set right now, Relentless, right? It's just, granted it's a turn-based game, but you get an extra turn. Here you just get another attack. It's your basic attack, but for many heroes, their basic attack is where all their attack comes from, right? Someone like a Silas or a Setchum, right? Even with their ult, it's just juiced up basic attacks. So you get an extra chance at those. Then if we go to max promo, it goes up by 50%. It goes from 10% chance to 15% chance. That's pretty good. And when you've got heroes that, like, let's think of Estrid, right? All of her basic attacks have a 30% chance to land a super powerful debuff in decreased defense down of 30%. So she can land a 30% decreased defense 30% of the time, every basic attack. So you're thinking, I'm going to build her with a lot of attack speed. Attack speed affects basic attack. But a way to get higher uptime and kind of ensure it, you throw a Watchguard's Ambition on her. And now, you know, on average, every 1 in 10 times, or when you get it up promotions, you know, every 6 or 7 times, she's going to land that extra hit, another opportunity, you know, with quantity, you know, you get more chances and you get higher uptime. It's just that simple. It's just really, really good. Also, you know, you build rage based on attack by doing basic attacks. So this is more opportunities to build extra rage. So I like to put it on Volca for a lot of content because I usually don't deploy her that much. I do a lot of cycling, whether that be in Guild Boss or Gear Raid 2 or something. So when she finally is down, she's going to get extra hits and she's going to get rage quicker because when she does get those extra hits, more rage regen based on attack. You get that ult up, you get those vulnerabilities going. It's just really, really good on any debuffing. You can see a theme here, like any debuffing kind of a fighter. I really, really do like it. I think it's pretty darn strong. All in all, that is going to be our list, our first ever tier list. You guys let me know what you think of it. Let me know what things I nailed, what I totally got wrong. Also, if you want to give me any general notes about the presentation, I obviously have like 4.5 more of these to do. I have the 4 other classes, and I have the baby one just for the epic artifacts. Please do let me know. This was so much more work than I ever dreamed of. So I'm happy to be filming and getting it done, and I'm very scared of how long I'm going to be editing it. But yeah. There you go. So I'll just run you through it. Let's see if I can remember all the names. We got Wailing Skull, our only S+. Then we've got Realm Tear, Lunacy Visor, Scarlet Hunt, and Frigid Flame. I do like the order there. Flux Pendant at A. We've got Watchguard's Ambition at the end of A. Then we've got Eye of Sin, Lucky Legacy. This one, oh my god, what's it called? Slayer's something. Slayer's Malice finishing off B tier. Then we've got Nightmare Shadow, Amulet of Arteries, our lowest ranked mythic. I do not like this one. If people find a good use case for it, let me know. Because I feel like it should be better, but for me, I found it just not good. Then we've got the end of C tier. We've got Voros Wrath. Finally, we had our D tier ones. So we have got the Rage Chain. We have got Crest of Thunder. We have got Prey Slayer. And I think the worst, the North's Horn. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. We're going to have another one of these tomorrow. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. If you like my stuff, like it, hit the notification bell, subscribe, share it with your mother. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.